It was a big fight in the Republican debate last night, but it also had a big policy focus. Immigration was big on the table, and it erupted into this firestorm of attacks on frontrunner Donald Trump by Senators Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, and what sometimes seemed a coordinated attacks. But how much of the substancy of the policy differences got lost in that? Let's discuss. CNN political commentator and host of the Ben Ferguson Show, Ben Ferguson, and conservative columnist and commentator Kayleigh McEnany. She's a Donald Trump supporter. It's good to have you both here. So,
Morning.
Big Ben,
yes.
What did you see on that stage last night? How do you rank the winners, and what made the difference?
I think that last night's performance first from Donald Trump was probably his weakest of all the debates. I'm not saying it was a bad debate. He was taking a lot of heat, but I think Marco Rubio landed some very good punches that were also with substance. I think Ted Cruz also had a very good night, especially when he looks at Texas and the road forward. It's about winning states now. He's going to be just fine here in Texas. Donald Trump didn't do anything to stop that momentum. I think Rubio helped himself in Florida, which is desperate in the polls there that you see. And again, they came after him on actual, you've got to explain more than you're going to build a great wall, and if someone insults you, it becomes 10 feet higher. How are you going to pay for it? Well, now it's going to become 20 feet higher. That's no longer acceptable on the debate stage. And I think that's why a lot of people love what they saw last night.
Kayleigh, what did you see? Your man had his head on a swivel last night, taking attacks from both sides, seemed calm about it, was confident about it after the debate as well. What did you see?
He certainly did have his head on a swivel. You're exactly right about that. You know, Donald Trump, I think, had his best debate yet. He looked like a front runner. He stayed above the fray. He addressed attacks when he was attacked, but he largely stayed above it. And in fact, I would argue that both Kasich and Carson had better nights than both Rubio and Cruz, despite having far less time to talk. Because Rubio looked petulant. He never looked Donald Trump in the eye. He was constantly looking down on his notes. He had rehearsed those lines over and over. He probably looked in the mirror and practiced those attacks. It was rehearsed, where Donald Trump was organic and just did what he always did. Let Trump be Trump. That's what happened last night.
I love that you say he was classy. Yeah, Donald Trump was insulting and having constant insults, which was something that when you saw him, when he got rattled last night, he was insulting personally, basically saying, well, you're stupid and you're an idiot and I don't like you and you're dumb. That's not having a good night. And the fact that, I mean, look, here's how you know Donald Trump did not have a great night. They're saying that Ben Carson had a great night. Most people did not even know that Ben Carson was there for the majority of the night. Yeah, I mean,
fruit salad.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, I'm still here. Hello.
And please attack me.
If please attack me is not a night where you're winning, I think is the big point here, to say he's having a good night.
Now,
I think.
Is there any regret for either of you? I'll start with Kayleigh. I'll start with you then. Let me start with you. Is there any regret that the man who was offering the solutions last night, the man who was touting executive experience in a way that was compelling to hear in a positive way, was not one of the three in focus? It was Governor Kasich. Is that a little regrettable for you, that someone who seemed to be offering the kind of positive stuff your party's asking for all the time is somewhat of an afterthought last night?
You know, I do think Kasich had a good night. Normally, I don't think that he does, but he had a great night. I think he looked very executive, and I don't think that it's an indictment on the party that he hasn't gotten enough attention. You know, he's the most far left of the candidates, and that's why I don't think he should be the nominee. I don't think he should even come close to it, but he did have a good night. Compare that to Marco Rubio, who was bringing up attacks from the 1980s when Donald Trump's subcontractor hired an illegal immigrant. You know, that's an attack from the 1980s. You know, you're grasping at straws and you're desperate when you're bringing up attacks from 38 years ago. I mean, yes, Kasich had a good night. Rubio had a bad one, and the contrast is stark.
That's the difference here. Look, when you're running for president, every
Donald Trump has
your life, especially hold on one second, especially when you're talking about illegal immigrants.
Hold on,
which
Kayleigh.
is your thing. I mean, you're literally the guy that says, I'm going to build the wall, I'm going to deport people, I'm going to self-deport people, I'm going to be the guy in immigration. When you're in business, we now know that he had no problem actively recruiting, not just foreigners taking away American jobs. And I think that was a big landed punch last night by Rubio and Cruz, because Donald Trump has hired a lot of people from out of this country. It's a fact. He hired people from outside of this country.
That is incorrect to say that he was.
Go ahead, Kayleigh,
that is incorrect to say that he. That is incorrect to say that he is. Let me speak. That is incorrect to say that he was okay with this. He runs a $10 billion company, which, by the way, no one on the stage has run anything remarkably close to that.
And he had a subcontractor.
No, let me finish, Ben. Let me finish, Ben. Let me finish, Ben. He had a subcontractor underneath him that he did not know was hiring illegal immigrants in a $10 billion business. business. He had a subcontractor underneath him, and he did not know that. He did not actively recruit illegal immigrants. It's incorrect. It's false to say that.
You're telling me that Donald Trump's $10 billion business, he could not handle the affairs and therefore had illegal immigrants being hired, but you think that he can run immigration for the entire country, the United States of America, and do it effectively and deal with illegal immigrants, but he couldn't do it with his own business? That's not a very good plan. If he can't even do it with his own business, that's a problem.
All right, those are the two sides of it. Kayleigh McEnany, thank you very much. Shaking your head in disgust at Ben Ferguson. I know that feeling. No, Ben, it's good to have you here, and thank you for the take on last night. It's always good to see you, brother.